got really interested in this whole marketing game, and went down lots of different rabbit holes and started reading things like J. Abraham. Some of these names are worth looking into if you haven't heard of them. J. Abraham, Dan Kennedy, these are some of the classic direct mail people, and it was all about selling and learning how to sell and marketing. And I think as business owners, one of the key things that you need to learn how to do is make sure that you know how to sell. Selling is absolutely central to everything that you do when it comes to being a business owner. So you want to think about what ways can you replicate your sales process, and that's why web video and things like that will work so well. And we'll talk about different ways that you can replicate your sales message so you can just get out there and sell. So one of the things that I did, and it was just before I went to the Brad Sugar's workshop, I was reading a book called The 1 Minute Millionaire, and there's a story in The 1 Minute Millionaire about a guy called Paul Hartunian, and he sold the Brooklyn Bridge. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that story later on in the presentation when I get to the PR section. But what happened, they were doing some renovations on the MCG, and I got pieces of the MCG, like bits of carpet and wood and things like that, cut it up into little pieces, and then sent out a press release. Melbourne Man sells the MCG for $24.95, and sold little pieces and got picked up by the media. So that was like my first real sort of big entrepreneurial step forward, and I felt like that was one of those moments, as you're sitting there, you might not realise it, but you might be just about to break through. The next great idea could be just around the corner. It might be something that you hear today. It might be something small. It might be just that one little distinction, and then you get that aha moment, and then you can break through. So we'll make sure that we create those moments today. So, and then I continued going through looking at different gurus, and then I got interested in the whole internet marketing game. It started off with, like I was saying, direct mail, but then shifted over into internet marketing. I really saw that's the way forward. And I mean, you guys know that by coming here today. The internet is where it's at when it comes to business. Like, we've done a lot of offline business. We used to have a clothing store called Planet 13. It was sold punk, metal, gothic and rock and roll clothing. The triple stud belts and Rolling Stone t-shirts and that type of thing. And we were in, on Flinders Street. We had a store. We had a store in some shopping centres. And that business vehicle, when you compare it to online, it's just worlds apart. I mean, having just $11,000 rent just to start per month in for our city store, then you've got wages, then all the other expenses that come on top of that. When you compare that to internet business, it's just like chalk and cheese. The benefits of doing online business are so great, and it plugs into existing business as well. So if you've already got that existing business, adding that on could potentially be one of the most profitable things that you do. For what we did for Planet 13 now, we've shifted and it's completely 100% online. It was and still is the strongest performing component of our business. We get the best return on our investment by what it is that we market online, and some of the things that you're going to learn about today. So after going through all of these different workshops and things like that, it's very easy once you first start learning this stuff. It can get a little bit addictive. Just that learning that information, and you feel like you're progressing forward because you're learning, and there will be a point where you'll take what it is that you learned from today and start implementing it, and once the rubber hits the road is where you start taking this material and then start applying it in your own business. There needs to be a point where you just go, enough's enough. And I'd attended all of these different workshops, and it was almost like every second weekend I was going to another boot camp or one of these evening seminars and things like that. And I started to get a little bit frustrated. You might have had it as well, especially if you're an entrepreneur. A lot of entrepreneurs get this. It's almost like you're just digging a whole lot of holes, like little holes. If you imagine like a big field and you're just digging all of these little holes trying to find gold, but you never go very deep in any hole. So you've just got tons of these little different opportunities that you've tried, but you've never really taken one thing and just worked your ass off at that one thing and made that successful. And a lot of people, you might start something very briefly and then go, oh, this doesn't work. I tried it for 2 weeks and I didn't get the result. Oh, that one didn't work either because, this happened. But quite often, the common element, like when you go from one opportunity to the next and you keep on going from opportunity to opportunity, what is the common element that keeps on going from one to the next that might be causing it to fail? It's you, because you keep on going to every single one and you're bringing the same problems every time, and you're not giving yourself a chance to fully explore that business. So what I want you to do is thinking in terms of your business, and all of today is about thinking about how can I take what Dave's talking about now and apply it to the business that I'm running right now to get more out of what I've already got. Don't think about, oh, Dave mentioned this idea of, local internet business marketing. Maybe I should go sell these strategies to small business. No, how about we make your business work, and once you get that proof of concept, then start applying it elsewhere. So I got a little bit frustrated after attending all of these different workshops because I'd learnt all of these different skills, and I hadn't quite broken through. Like, we had a little bit of success with the Metastock Programming Study Guide and a few different courses, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say it. At the end of going to all of these different workshops and things like that, I had over 550 domain names that I'd registered in a whole lot of different niches, everything from ballet dancing all the way up to ice skating to, you name it, I was in every niche that you could think about. We took these public domain works, books that had fallen out of copyright, and started putting up all of these sites with all of these different content. And my idea was, let's throw as much shit up against the wall as we can. We'll see what sticks, and then we'll hone in on that. And there was something to that being said, but I wasn't giving my mind space to move because I just had too many things going on. And sometimes what you'll find, and this is one of those other key lessons that you'll take away, is how important that focus is. Getting focus is what is going to give you that real breakthrough. Taking everything that we're applying and talking about today, channeling it into your own business, and then breaking through to the next level. So I looked across all of the different businesses that we had, and I thought, what is the common element that is making the successful ones successful? Because I'd thrown a lot of crap up against the wall, and then I thought, oh, why is that one working? Why is that one working? Why is that one working? And the key for me was traffic. It comes down to getting, and it goes back to what I'd learnt a little bit earlier, this idea of you can have a great product, but now you need to get it in front of the eyes. If you've got the great product, you get it in front of the eyes, that's the magic formula. So then I started to think about, well, how can I develop these strategies as low cost as possible and the most effective as possible, best return on my investment, and start applying it to the core businesses that I wanted to have work. So we tested a whole lot of different. I started off with search engine optimization, and we'll talk a little bit about SEO as the day progresses, but there are a whole lot of other traffic strategies that we've now meshed into it. I went after SEO first because you think of something like pay-per-click and running Google AdWords, there's a cost associated to that, whereas for someone who is just getting started, SEO can look attractive because it's free traffic, like it's organic traffic, but there's still time and effort to build that up, and you still need to get articles written, and there's still investment that goes into it. So regardless of what traffic strategy you go after, there will be a cost that you have to pay for that. So we developed this method we called the SEO method, and it was a step-by-step approach, the way that we built things and started getting them to dominate on the search engine. And we were in a real competitive space. We were in the stock market niche, which is one of the most competitive spaces that you can be in. Financial services, things like credit cards, mortgages, they're up there. They're kind of, if you can make it work there, you can make it work anywhere. And we started, and we're still ranking for things like trading systems, which, that's a very competitive term. And our business just sort of took off, and we started selling a whole lot of things. It was almost like that breakthrough moment. I was like, traffic is what I need to come up with a system for, and then I created a system to almost cookie cutter that, and you could drop it into any website and get really, really good results. So that's when the trading business started to take off, and we started to build a team. You've probably met some of the guys, the current team as well. That photo's a little hard to see, but that was some of the original team that helped set up the trading business, and we also will look at outsourcing and how you can hire stuff over in the Philippines and stuff like that. But this was my local team. I think it's important to have the team members around you as well. That's another real key takeaway from the entrepreneurial journey is you need to build a team. There's no way that you can really do it on your own. You will get so much growth once you start to add other good people in, and you find A players, people like Adrian, people like Sally. You make sure that you find the A players, because they're the ones that are going to help your business grow really, really quickly. So we built the team, and some changes happened with the Australian financial law changed a little bit, and ASIC came out and they talked about having licensing when giving financial information and things like that, and you could no longer give, they said you needed to be licensed to give general advice. What is general advice? That's such a broad, sweeping term. So my business partner at the time, Stuart, he was in one of the photos earlier. We didn't end up going down the licensing route for a little while. We kind of diverged a little bit, and that's when the team, we pulled them aside and said, okay, well, what are we going to do? And then we'd found a lot of people had asked us how we were ranking. We were coming into things like trading psychology. This guy had been going after the term trading psychology for the past 4 years. We moved into the space, and I think it was in about 4 or 5 months we ended up getting top position for trading psychology. And he's like, how are you doing this? And we started to get people asking us, how are you doing what you're doing? And then we thought, hang on, well, clearly we know what we're doing when it comes to creating traffic. That's our real core expertise. And it doesn't matter what business you apply it to. Every business needs more traffic. And that's when we ended up, Melbourne SEO Services was born. The team said, okay, well, there's going to be very small incremental difference for us to add in another business into our system. We can just drop something in. The system's already there. We just need to write articles about different topics. We need to, the process is still the same. So we started to offer it as a service, and we found what we were doing in the stock market, hyper-competitive niche. You compare that to something like, Toowoomba outdoor camera equipment or something like that, and you'll absolutely dominate the market because it's a lot less competitive space. And sure, you might get less traffic for those terms, but the person searching Dentist Melbourne is a buyer with a problem who's ready to pick up the phone and place the order, rather than someone just searching dentist. Maybe it's a school project and a kid wants to find out what it takes to become a dentist. That phrase dentist is a very broad term, whereas if you go for Dentist Melbourne and start to target some of these geographic terms, you can really get #1 position very quickly. You don't need a huge amount of traffic, and that traffic can convert incredibly well.